Countryman said, "Hey, it's MRSJ the Mermaid. Great to see you." MRSJ the Mermaid said, "Hey there, Countryman, nice to see you, smiley face. Mr.G. Mr.G. Toby White, yes. Countryman said, "This music choice." MRSJ the Mermaid said, "Hi there, Mr. G and Kitties. Hope you're having a great day."
Thank you. Hey Google.
Anyway, Toby White,
Pause.
for the cat.
Play that Mr.G shit. Thing that's like, I don't know if it's God or the devil or what, that's just trying to prevent me from going live, it seems like, right? Why are we unstable? It's fucking ridiculous. Oh, now we're excellent. Alright, today's class is on
MRSJ the Mermaid
Welcome, Mrs. J.
said, "A nice shirt."
Thank you. I got it at a Goodwill on the stream right after my 5th laser treatment on my tattoo, which didn't even work. Or I guess we'll wait and see. I went to a new place. All right, today we're going to be learning about the great state of Hawaii. I do these classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Wednesday we're going to be learning about Puerto Rico, and Friday we're going to be learning about...
"Love the color on you."
Thank you, Mrs. J. And we're going to be learning about, what's that state? American Samoa on Friday. So we're going to be learning about all the island nations.
Countryman said, "Nice, sounds good, G."
All right. I had the sunlight blocked out of that window. That's annoying me. But, yeah, if you haven't noticed, I'm not in the best mood. I'm not like in a, I don't know, fun kind of mood today. This buzzing is annoying me too.
Said, "Becky, yeah, so excited to learn."
Yeah, let me see if I can fix that. Let me put some water in Lucky's dish there because that noise is getting on my nerves. So let me go grab some water for her real quick. Be right back.
JONAT.
I have donations on.
Said,
Follows on.
"The new merch is here, PogChamp, check it out, https://merch.streamelements.com/MRG_live. MRSJ the Mermaid said, "Love you, lucky cat."
All right, I'm back. Got to shut the door. These classes, they take some time, to prepare. They take some time to prepare, and it's not easy to do. And I do it because I really enjoy teaching, and it's something.
8,804. Hey, what's up, everyone?
It's something that I feel like I should have been able to continue doing. Unfortunately, very terrible people prevented me from doing that. Very evil, toxic people. But this is a really good idea, and I haven't seen anybody really doing this on Twitch.
Dead. Yes, it shows with how much info you present.
This is Jay. But yeah. So 3 days a week, it is even a little hard. So some days I might take a day off here or there. It is frustrating when the technology doesn't work. Like I have a really good slideshow planned today, and we'll see if that works, right? But anyways, I'm not in the best mood, but there's two ways you can do it with anger. You could use it to your advantage, or you could use it to your disadvantage. Anger can be used as a motivational tool, and especially when somebody like me that needs to harness and control it in a productive kind of way. All right, so let's get on with the lecture. Right, it's going to be about an hour, a little over an hour lecture, and then I'll attempt to do the slideshow. We'll see if that works. I might turn down the TTS at some point, the speaker for the TTS, just because I might do that. All right, so some basic facts about Hawaii. Hawaii is the 50th state. It's the Aloha State is its nickname. It's also known as Paradise. I've lived here for almost 10 years, about 8 years. So that's almost 10. I can round up if I want to, because it's fucking my class and my show. All right, so some great things about my
Aloha State.
State, yes. I wouldn't live anywhere else in the world except for Hawaii.
Today, Mr.G.
I'm doing fine, thank you. Well, if you look on the board here, I have some different Hawaiian symbols that you would see in Hawaii, and go over there forward. I guess the Hawaiian things in the wind. So over here we have the Hawaiian flag, and then we have the original Hawaiian flag on the west side of the island, with much more Hawaiian people on the west side. This green, red, and yellow flag is the Hawaiian flag. You see this on Hawaiians, locals, people on the west side and stuff like that, not on tourists. You don't Caucasian state flag. It pays homage to the British, which were the first European settlers to discover Hawaii. James Cook discovered Hawaii in 1778. He landed on Kauai, and and this right here, this is the famous Diamond Head crater. I've streamed. This is from the side view. A huge crater where an impact made. This right here is the state motto right here. It means Au Mau Ke O Ka'aina I Ka Pono. And it means, no, this is the Hawaiian state fish. I'm teaching right now, if you weren't aware of that. So this is the Hawaiian state fish. It's called humu for short. The long pronunciation is humu, nu ku apua. Wait, well, I can't see the rest of it right there. But it's humu, nuku, ku apua, or humu for short. Once again, this is the Hawaiian, and it's Ua Ma'a Ke'i Ono. Google knows it this specific. Hey Google, what is the motto of Hawaii?
According to Wikipedia.org, Ua mau ke ao ka aina I ka pono. Do you want a little more context?
Yes, please.
Ua mau ke ao ka aina I ka pono is a well-known Hawaiian phrase which was adopted in 19 of the state of Hawaii. It is most commonly translated as the life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness.
Hey Google, volume 10. Hey Google, can you repeat that?
Sure. Ua mau ke ao ka aina I ka pono is a well-known Hawaiian phrase which was adopted in 1959 as the motto of the state of Hawaii. It is most commonly translated as the life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness.
The life of the land is perpetuated by righteousness. So the land is extremely important.
According to Wikipedia, Ua mau ke ao ka aina I ka pono is a well-known Hawaiian phrase which was...
Enough. Thank you. That's the Hawaiian motto, and the overall the land is very important here. A nickname for Hawaii, yes, it's a pretty fancy motto. A nickname for Hawaii is paradise, and you really see that when you first come here. Hawaii is further away from any major landmass in the entire planet. It's the only inhabited area furthest away from any major landmass, and that leads to the highest quality air and the less air pollution. Here in Hawaii, you actually have the bluest skies and the clearest nights with the most stars. If you spent your whole life on the mainland seeing stars, you really... And then I'm not coming down on me, it's the technology. What, how much more money do I need to put in? Because I got the most fastest internet that's possible on Earth, right? The top of the line phone, top of the line cameras. Like, what the fuck? Okay, we're back on Twitch. I'm just gonna, I don't want to be fucking interrupted over and over. Yeah, shut the fuck up, Stream Elements. Any of you ever buy my merch? It's actually good quality t-shirts, because I buy like novelty t-shirts a lot, and they actually have good ones. But don't worry, I understand nobody wants a t-shirt unless all the other cool kids get some, right? Because everybody wants to be a cool kid to sit at the cool table, right? But I don't. Alright, so Hawaii has 8 major islands, but there's over 100 islands chains. It's the widest state in the United States. When you measure the length between the islands. Alright. Hey, Google won't answer in that voice, okay? Because that doesn't sound like Mr.G. Alright? Google knows what Mr.G sounds like, okay? And he doesn't sound like that. Shut the fuck up with crypto. I hope it crashes and everybody fucking goes broke. I hope the next crash isn't a stock market crash. I hope it's a crypto crash. And all those freaking fucking noobs in the fucking market. Anyways. Alright, let's just continue on. Today's about Hawaii, alright? So, there's 8 major islands. Oahu is the most populous island. 80% of the island, the whole state, lives. Yeah, I don't want to hear you. 80% of the entire state of Hawaii lives on the island of Oahu. Oahu consists of Honolulu County. Honolulu is one city in Oahu. Like I said, Oahu is the most populous state. But every time we do a state or we talk about a city, I always tell you what the city population is and the metro population. Generally, when you're talking about states and cities on the mainland, you'll have a city, and then the smaller cities around it are considered the metro population. It's similar in Hawaii, except they do it by island. So the island has a city, Honolulu, they call it town here, right? And then the entire county would be the Honolulu metro area. So the actual population of Honolulu, the city, is about 350,000, you know? And it's a smaller area. That's where the most of the condos are. That would include Waikiki. I think that would include a few other areas, downtown Chinatown, a lot of that area, in Honolulu as well. But the Honolulu metro area is about 1 million, because that includes the entire island. So the entire island of Oahu, that's basically a city divided into many separate towns, including Honolulu. Other towns on this island, which are more popular, all these towns that I mentioned have more people than the entire population of the other islands. Like I said, 80% of the entire state lives on this one island. And on Oahu, Honolulu County, you'll find Honolulu, Waikiki, Manoa, Mililani, Waianae, Waipahu, Wahiawa, Maikiki, Ewa Beach, Haleiwa on the North Shore, Kailua, and Lanikai on the east side, and of course Kaneohe. And I left out a bunch as well, Waipio Gentry. But there's little towns all around the island. And however, the whole island is basically one city divided into many different neighborhoods. And so there's the state of Hawaii, and the state has its own flower, which is the yellow hibiscus. But each island has their own island flower and has their own island. That's the most populous island. I've mentioned that. The second most populous is the Big Island. The Big Island is also known as the island Hawaii. That's called Hawaii as well. The whole island chain is the Hawaii Island chain, and the Big Island is the island of Hawaii, or the Big Island. The largest city on the Big Island is also the second largest city in the state, and that's Hilo. Now, Hilo population city limits is only 25,000, tiny. But the metro island of the Big Island is about 183,000. So Hilo's on one side of the island, the east side of the island. Each Hawaiian island has a west side and an east side. The west side is the leeward side, and the east side is the mountain side. The east side of islands, each island gets more rain than the west side. The west side is generally dry, and that's because all the rain and generally all the storms come from the east, and they come in with the trade winds. So a lot of Hawaii doesn't have air conditioning, and that's because there's kind of like a natural air conditioning with the trade winds that come in. So, you know, if you looked at a lot of apartments have like, I'm going to turn it up a little bit so you can hear some of the top class participants. A lot of houses and apartments, they don't have central air. Central air is very uncommon in Hawaii. And that's because there's a lot of open air kitchens and open air apartments because of the trade winds. The trade winds act as a natural air conditioning for Hawaii. All right, so I spoke about how each island has its own identity, and each island actually has its own color and its own flower and its own animal as well.
Trade winds would be wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, you really notice them. They're not always every day, but the majority of the year. So, we're going over the 8 major Hawaiian islands. We better not F out here. Up top, each island has its own color, its own flower, and its own color, its own flower, and its own culture, its own identity. So at the top left, we have the island of Hawaii, and that flower is the lehua flower. I'll show you a picture of it. Right now, actually, I'll show you a picture. So the lehua flower is the flower of the Big Island. And the reason for that is the Big Island, that's where you have the most active volcano in the world. The most active volcano is on Mauna Kea. It's Kilauea. And Kilauea in Hawaiian means spewing lava. So red is the color of the Big Island. This is their flower, the Lehua Ohia, and I'll show you a picture of the spewing volcano. More lava is coming out of this volcano of any other volcano in the entire world. Now let me go ahead and switch back. It better not F. All right. So everybody, thank you. It did not F. Yay! And we got through the flower of the Hawaiian Big Island, the Lehua flower. It's all around. You can find those flowers everywhere, but that flower is in particular the flower to the Big Island in regards to the spewing volcano.
Said, "To so eat. I love how they all have their own identity."
Yes, exactly. It's a wonderful place to live. It's the only place I'll ever live. All right, in the United States, I guess. Yeah, in general. But so that's the flower of the Big Island. Like I said, the state flower is the yellow hibiscus. You'll find those everywhere.
I said you went the last time you went to Kauai.
I went there with JR when we were coming back from LA. But we're actually planning another trip as well. But I mean, I can't be too specific because, you guys know what has happened to me. It's unreal until those people die off, I guess. But anyways, Kauai is known as the Garden Isle. And the reason for that, it's actually the most fertile place in the world is Kauai.
And you should go there for some content for live stream.
Yeah. Just about everything grows really well in Kauai. And also, things grow great everywhere in Hawaii. But in particular in Kauai, because Kauai actually has a natural stream system. So there's many streams that go through Kauai. And it also has the wettest spot on Earth. Earth is the planet that we live on.
Amon loves Kauai the most.
Yes. A lot of people love Kauai the most. It is very... it's a very small population. There's only 72,000 on the entire island of Kauai. But like I said, the wettest spot in the world is on Kauai. It's called Mount Waianae, and they receive over 220 inches of rain per year. Recently, the past few months during quarantine, there was this cult that tried to come and live on Kauai. Well, I mean, cult is a strong word. They were like a group of hippie live streamers on YouTube. They get about as many viewers as me, less than actually. But they moved their entire operation to Kauai, and they started doing their live streams, and the police and the governor and the mayor and everybody, they got together and they kicked him off the island, and it can happen. So you really have to be respectful. But yeah. Okay, so that's the island of Kauai. The flower of Kauai is the mochahina berry. And the mochahina berry is a very floral flower that's used for making leis. I'll go ahead and show you a picture of it. This is a cat doing the hula. I just thought it was cute. But and this is the state flower, the yellow hibiscus flower. Now, we're talking about Kauai, so I want to show you the Kauai flower. Kauai's color is purple as well. You see on the bottom of the screen there, we have Kauai, and it's the mochahina berry, and their color is purple. Like I said, the mochahina berry is a very fluorescent. I actually don't have a buffing out. Like, what else am I supposed to do? While I have this moment, I just want to say JR is going to be teaching a late night class on Thursdays, like every Thursday, a late night session. He's going to have a late night session every Thursday night, and that's going to be a consistent thing as well. All right, so that was the island of Kauai. I told you the island of, we went over the island, the Big Island, and their flower, and then the Maui flower is the Lokilani. The Lokilani flower, and I believe Maui's color is pink as well.
I enjoy JR class.
Okay, cool. So here we are in the graph again. If you look at the official color, the top left, The official color of Maui is pink, and its official flower. Hey, Aquarius. And its official flower is the Lokilani rose. The Lokilani rose, if you've guessed, is pink. Generally, it seems like the flowers go with the state color as well. And that's the Lokilani rose. All right, up next, we have Molokai is the kukui nut flower. I'll show you a picture of the kukui nut tree. And Oahu, the lima is the flower of Oahu. So I'll show you pictures of that when we have this here. Oahu anu flower, and this is actually the flower of lanai. Lanai is has one of the top diving spots in the world. Okay. All right, I'm all over the place here today. Hold on 1 second, I apologize. Okay, I'm all over the place. Slides and like not make it F out is the main thing. Like, I don't know if that's the reason why it Fs or what, or it's because I'm dual streaming on 2 different platforms. I don't know. But continuing on here, what else? All right, so I think we've gone over the flowers. I'm all over the place. All right, let's talk about each individual island. Okay, Maui. One of the most popular cities on Maui. Wait, are we on the screen here? Okay. All right. One of the most popular cities on Maui. Britain visited there. I kind of sent him there. It's Lahaina. It actually used to be the largest city in Hawaii, Lahaina, and it used to be the capital of Hawaii as well. It was the former capital, and it's a former whaling town. Maui is known as the Valley Isle. Each island has its own nickname too. Maui is the Valley Isle, and it's the second largest island next to the Big Island. It's a little bit larger than the island of Oahu, where I'm at. And Maui, like I said, it used to be the former capital. Maui is home to the largest dormant volcano on Earth. Earth is the planet that we live on. And that is... why does he say that? Because I felt like it. It's my class. It's my stream. It's my channel. If you're not on my side, leave. Halikela is the largest dormant volcano on Earth. So Maui does have active volcanoes, but they have that dormant volcano as well. Kilauea is the most active volcano on Earth, and that is... So we've learned about the Big Island. We've learned a little bit about Kauai. We've learned about what else? Maui. What else? Molokai. Molokai is a former leper colony. The population of Molokai is about 7,000 or 8,000. There's no traffic lights on the whole island of Molokai. It has the highest waterfall in Hawaii, the longest beach in Hawaii, and the highest sea cliffs on Earth. Earth is the planet that we live on. Okay. I can amuse myself, can't I? All right. So that's Molokai. It used to be a leper colony from until about 1970, until the last lepers, I guess, I don't know any political correct term, the last lepers died off on the leper colony. The Simpsons did a parody of it as well. So that's Molokai. Lanai is a really popular tourist destination for people in Hawaii. If you live in Honolulu and you want to take a vacation, a lot of people go to Lanai. They have really great beaches there that are only accessible by helicopter, and they have the world's best diving spot. We're always ranked in the top 3 spots in the world for diving, and that's Hulopo'e Bay. And if you go to Hulopo'e Bay, that's where you would see all the multiple tropical fish and dolphins and seals. The monk seal is actually the state animal of Hawaii. originally, before human inhabitants came to the island, there were only 2 mammals on the island of all of Hawaii. Thank you, Mrs. J. Everybody join in the Discord, to keep up to date on the latest happenings in the class. Also, either join my personal Instagram is on the screen here. So if you want to see pictures of my beautiful kitties, you can go ahead and follow me on Instagram. So we're talking about which island? Maui? No, we're talking about Big Island? No. What we're talking about? Well, we're talking about Lanai. Lanai is a really great tourist spot. There's only one hotel, and so there's 8 major islands. Oahu, we talked about Oahu. Kauai, the Garden Isle. Maui, the Valley Isle. The Big Island. Those are the 4 main ones. Then we have Molokai, the former Lepo colony. That's 5. Then we have Lanai. That's 6. So what are we missing out? Oh, okay. Yes, I know the 2. And then we have Nihu'u, which is I'm going to put on a map of the Hawaiian Islands on the board so you can see what I'm talking about. So there's 8 major Hawaiian islands, but 2 of them you're not allowed to go on. So you can see on the board here. These are the 8 major island chains. Now Nihu'a is the only one in red. I'll make it larger here on the board. Hopefully we don't F out. So, as you can see on the far left island is Nihu'a. The Hawaiian island chain goes further all the way past Midway Island. But as far as the 8 major islands, you can see them on the map here. Nihu'a is forbidden, kapu. Kapu means nobody's allowed there. It means it kind of means no trespassing, but it also means like the law. So it's a private island owned by a private family, and we're not even supposed to talk about it. All right. Next to Nihu'a, you have Kauai. We spoke about Kauai, and then we have Oahu. Kauai is its own county. I think the largest city on Kauai is Captain Cook. No, Captain Cook's on the Big Island actually. But then we have Oahu, where 80%, where just about everybody lives. And then over here, you see these 4 islands to the right here. We have Molokai, and below that we have Lanai. And then to the right of Molokai, we have Maui. And below that, we have Ko'hulawe. Now, Ko'hulawe is a really interesting island, if you're into interesting things. It's actually was a United States military target practice spot. That's what the official story is. So it's this huge island, as big as many cities, and there's nobody on Kahulawe. It's not necessarily owned by the United States government, but I suppose the United States government, you're not allowed on there unless you're a high-ranking military officer. So what's going on there? I don't know. But they say it's because there's unexploded mines. And that doesn't make any sense. They could easily go and explode the mines. It's a huge island. It's as big as a city, and there's supposed to be nobody there. Like, I don't really understand. I don't really buy the official story, to tell you the truth. But I guess, I don't want the stream to F out, so we just won't go there. But yeah, a lot of people don't know about that island. It's the 8th island that hardly anybody knows about, and that's because nobody is allowed there. So out of the 8 major Hawaiian islands, 2 of them is no trespassing. And then the dork from Facebook owns half of Kauai, right? Zuckerberg, whatever. We're not going to talk about that guy. But yeah, so overall, the major island of the 8 major island chains, Honolulu gets the most visitors by far. Everywhere else, it's a really small area, and outsiders aren't necessarily welcome, especially with what happened historically. Caucasians aren't always welcome in every part of Hawaii. And Hawaii actually has one of the lowest murder rates in the United States, probably the lowest. But they also have a really high missing persons rate. So you put the 2 and 2 together. A lot of implants from the mainland that decided they were going to move to the cheap part of the Big Island on the south part. They turned up missing. A lot of them came from wealthy families, and their wealthy families made Facebook groups and hired private investigators. But things are really done by who you know here, and the police in Hawaii as well. It's the same situation. It's all who you know. Hawaii is notoriously the most qualified person for the job doesn't usually have the job. It's all who you know in Hawaii. There's a lot of rules here that and a lot of things in the culture that are unlike here. Do not have street names. A lot of restaurants you're not allowed in. A lot of houses you can't buy if you're Caucasian. A lot of places you go you can't go. It's by law. One of the best schools here, Kamehameha schools, you have to have at least 50% Hawaiian blood, and they don't let. No trespassing, kapu. Right on the board. K-A-P-U. So if you're ever walking on a trail in Hawaii, or if you ever come across a sign that says kapu, that means turn around, don't drown, or don't get thrown. The culture there's a lot of animosity towards Caucasians, and it's understandable because Hawaiians have always had the spirit of aloha long before any Caucasians get here, and it's not talked about much, but Hawaii was taken by force with a coup d'etat by wealthy white settlers, and it's something that's never been forgotten as well, and many people in Hawaii don't consider themselves part of the United States, understandably so. To give you a little background history, it started back in the 1880s in Pearl Harbor. The United States military, around the time of the Spanish-American War, they started using the bases in Pearl Harbor, and they started building up and organizing a base there. That was about 1887. In 1888 came the Wilcox Rebellion. The Wilcox Rebellion was the first attempt for the white settlers to overthrow King Kalakaua and replace him with his sister, Princess Liliuokalani, who was favorable towards the white settlers. Now, at this time in the United States, Grover Cleveland was president, and Grover Cleveland was against any overthrow of the Hawaiian monarchy. The Hawaiian was a monarchy, it was a sovereign nation on its own regard. So the United States took over this country and claimed it as its own. The Wilcox Rebellion was unsuccessful, but about 5 years later, a group of non-Hawaiians, they formed a group called the Committee of Public Safety. The Committee of Public Safety overthrew the governor and Princess Kaiulani by force. They used the help of American dignitaries and American ambassadors as well. It was a very dark spot on the culture, and and many native people were outraged. Princess Kaiulani actually traveled to Washington D.C. and met with Grover Cleveland. Grover Cleveland took her side, and there were plans to return the island back to Hawaii. However, William McKinley was the administration that took over from Grover Cleveland, and William McKinley was a very bad dude. He's ranked as one of the worst presidents in the United States, and he sided with the white settlers and for annexation, and he annexed Hawaii back in 1890. That's the late 1800s. That's about how it started. They started using Pearl Harbor as a base. There were a few minor Wilcox Rebellion and the Committee of Public Safety. Eventually, the Hawaiian government. So that's a little bit of history about Hawaii. That particular. We didn't talk about the entire history of Hawaii. You know, I had to keep this class about a little over an hour, but there is an extensive history. You know, these islands existed for thousands of years without anybody living here. Like I said, there were only two mammals humans got here. That was the monk seal and a bat. And a bat's a mammal, yeah, right? But the way that the islands were discovered, is through a bird, through nature, and nature is something that's put at very high regard in Hawaii. And the story of how the Polynesians found Hawaii is really great. Now I'll try to say the best to my knowledge. I didn't plan any of this. I'm just talking off the cusp. But the Polynesians were the great explorers of the world. They traveled all around, seafaring travelers all around the world before anybody else could, and they used navigation for the stars. But Hawaii is so far away. The story goes that the Polynesians they came out from out west, like Polynesia, and they traveled out towards Hawaii. Because they saw a bird coming out towards Hawaii, and they're like, wow, where does that bird come from? Or where's that bird going to? And they went as far as they could to where their supplies would run out, and then they stopped because they had to return and go back. Go back until finally the bird led them to the most beautiful tropical paradise that anybody has ever seen. So it's a really touching story about how Hawaii was discovered. All right, continuing on. Well, that's ancient Hawaiian history. There were a couple different groups of people, possibly from Tahiti as well, or maybe the Tahitians actually came first. But some of the Polynesian stories say that when they came here, there were these tiny little people, like smaller than even a midget or a little person. And these little people that lived in the mountains and stuff, and they were little smiley guys, steal your shoes when you're sleeping and play little tricks on you. And, you know, as more and more settlers came, the mini huni is what they're called. They were pushed into the mountains, deep into the mountains. And legend has it that they still live out there. And sometimes if you're camping close near mountainside, they'll come and they'll steal your shoes and play little tricks on you. They pour water all over the place and stuff like that. I'll go and show you a picture of a mini huni. There's the Mini Huni Water Company, which is a common water here in Hawaii delivery service. A friend of mine worked for them. But this is the Mini Huni, and right here. And they're supposedly were the first inhabitants of Hawaii when they were very short little midget people some people say they could fit in the palm of your hand. They were so small, right? And they were supposedly the first inhabitants of Hawaii, and they're supposedly still live in the mountains. You never know. You go into the mountains. Hawaii has 10 of the 12 climate zones. So you could be in a desert on one side of the island, and then you could go to a rainforest on the other side of the island. And I'm not a believer in ghosts or spirits or the supernatural necessarily, but camping for 3 years in Hawaii, I did see numerous crazy things in the sky that cannot be explained, and other things as well. But the Mini Huni is one story. The more positive story, the more scarier story is the Night Watchers. Now the Mini Huni are little friendly guys who are going to just steal your shoes. But the Night Watchers, and people locals seriously believe in these Night Watchers. They supposedly live in the same area as the Mini Huni, except they're very scary, and they'll come and they come out at night, and you see them in the valley of the bottom of the valley with their lights flickering. And I did see them camping. I camped out on the mountainside, and I would see these supposedly lights that flash up, and like candle lights kind of. And supposedly if they come close to you, you're supposed to take off all your clothes and stare at the ground and lay down naked on the ground, and they'll leave you alone. Supposedly. And I've actually seen people on some trails on the mountain naked on the ground saying night watchers were coming. You know? I just walked in the other direction. But seriously, it's one of the most scariest Hawaii stories. Let's see what Google says. Hey Google, who are the night watchers of Hawaii?
On the website AtlantisAdventures.com, they say, according to legend, the night marchers were ancient Hawaiian warriors. Today, their spirits are said to roam various areas on the islands, many of which were once great battlefields. They appear as ghostly apparitions who carry torches and play drums while they chant. People also sometimes ask me, what are night watchers? Do you want to hear the answer?
Yes.
According to Wikipedia.org, in Hawaiian mythology, night marchers are the deadly ghosts of ancient Hawaiian warriors. The night marchers are the vanguard for barriers placed in the path of night marchers will not deter them.
So these night watchers, it's kind of scary because I did see the lights and I did see the humming and chanting. However, I'm a very skeptical person. I don't believe in... Perfect for a late night story. Aloha. We have these classes every time, so tune in Monday, Wednesday, Friday as well. Wednesday we're going to be doing Puerto Rico, and Friday is American Samoa.
That's the main creed in Hawaii. Do the original Hawaiians have their own religion?
They had their own religion. They had many different gods. Pele was the god of fire. Maui, a lot of people know Maui, the god Maui from the movie Moana. One of the actresses, the main actress who played Moana is a local girl from Mililani. And but the night marchers are a traditional scary story in Hawaii. And I mean, camping out, I did see lights and I did hear the chants many times. But I don't really believe that. Other things that I've seen in Hawaii, I've seen ball lightning. And I've seen numerous red and blue in the sky, like red and blue lightning and stuff like that. But yeah, the Menehune is a little more positive story that you would want to tell kids. Night Watchers is more of a ghost story. Let's see what Google says about... Hey Google, tell us about the Menehune.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Hey Google, what are the Menehune? Hey Vegas.
According to Wikipedia, Menehune are a mythological dwarf people in Hawaiian tradition who are said to live in the deep forests and hidden valleys of the Hawaiian Islands, hidden and far away from human settlements. The Menehune are described as superb craftspeople. They built temples, fish ponds, roads, canoes, and houses.
That's true. A lot of times I'll be traveling in the some ancient, not ancient, but some Hawaiian wilderness, which had not been traversed for ages. I would find a Coke can from the 60s, and I could tell nobody had been here for a while. And then I would be walking through, and I'd come upon like a huge structure, and you'd find that all around Hawaii. If you go places off the beaten path, you will see that. But like I said, I don't believe in magical little people. So maybe there's just a group of people that lives out there. There are a group of what are those? They're in Australia. They're like a wallaby. There's actually wallabies. There's a colony of wallabies out in the middle of the Hawaiian mountains here on this island. So you can actually see them if you go traveling. All right, continuing on. So we went over each island. I told you each island has its own color. Oahu is yellow, Kauai's purple, Maui's pink, Big Island is red, Lanai is orange, and Molokai is green. What else? Some top some top industries in Hawaii. Number one is tourism by far. Right now, Hawaii actually has the highest unemployment rate in the United States because it's taking a little while for tourism to come back. One major aspect of tourism is tourism from Japan. And here in Hawaii, there's our Japanese stores, there's Japanese buses. There's a lot of catering to the Japanese, and that was planned and intentional with the Travel and Tourism Agency. Now, in retrospect, they're like, wow, we maybe should have concentrated on tourism from the mainland United States because tourism is basically not allowed here. Normally, when you're going around Hawaii, you see Japanese tourists, Chinese tourists, and people from Australia, people from Europe. But you haven't had that for the last year and a half, and it's taken a big hit on the on the Hawaiian economy. What we have had recently is just tourists from the mainland, which is like the worst kind. No, well, but for the Hawaiian economy to get back to where it's used to be, it really needs that Japanese and international tourism. What else? TVs and movies. Many TVs and movies were made here in Hawaii. Most recently, Godzilla vs. Kong was filmed. All right.
I heard if you take black sand off the island to the mainland, it is a person bad luck.
Yes, that is true. In retrospect, though, for clarification, Pele's curse is the rocks on Mauna Kea on the Big Island, if I'm not mistaken. There's lava rocks all around Hawaii. If you build a garden, if you go anywhere outside, you'll find lava rocks everywhere. Some of you attended Moses' funeral, and I actually buried Moses under huge boulders that had been sitting there for thousands of years, tens of thousands of years. So, there's lava rocks everywhere, but Pele's curse, that's mainly having to do with the rocks on the Big Island. So you're not really with, because there's lava rocks all over the island. But you don't want to take a rock. There has been, situations where people have gotten in a lot of trouble by taking rocks to the mainland, and it's illegal too. So continuing on, so the top industries: tourism, TVs and movies. Like I said, Kong Godzilla was filmed here. The other Godzilla movie was filmed here. Hawaii Five-0, Magnum PI, the series Lost, The Descendants, popular George Clooney movie. A lot of famous movies and TV shows are filmed here. One reason is because of the beautiful sunshine, which is really important in filmmaking. And also they really try to cater to the filmmaking industry with tax breaks and stuff of that nature. Because, we are out here. We're the most isolated place in the world. And so, bringing people here for, a few weeks to produce a movie, it's in the island's best interest, really. Some more things. Shipping is a big industry here. That's because, we're the midpoint between Asia, so, it's a stopping point for ships. As far as agriculture goes, just about everything grows very well in Hawaii. The problem is shipping it. So, you can make honey or coffee and ship it, but we're so far away from everything, it's really hard to get our fresh fruits and vegetables to other places. So if you really want to take advantage of all the fresh fruits, vegetables that are so plentiful here than anywhere else in the world, if you know where to go, you can go and get fruit anywhere. And but you can't really ship it anywhere. But Hawaii does supply 2% of the world's pineapple. They're the number one supplier of macadamia nuts, taro, sweet potatoes, and orchids as well. We've talked about flowers a lot. There's more orchids that grow here in Hawaii than anywhere else. And I want to mention this. One of the reasons I came out to Hawaii is because I was talking to this over 10 years ago. I met this guy who lived on Maui, and he was wanting me to help him with a job. he was a professional flower hunter. And they actually talk about, there's actually, one of my movies that I hadn't seen in over 10 years, but Adaptation. It's a movie about two twin brothers, and one of them is a writer. I've always been a writer. Even when I was a little kid, I saw that movie Misery. I'm like, I'm a writer. I've always been a writer. But that movie, it stars Nicolas Cage, and it intrigued me because it was about a writer for like this mythical orchid that was like worth like hundreds of thousands of years or something like that. And in Maui, we actually do have professional flower hunters that go out and try to find these rare, exquisite flowers, and then they get them and they put them in a temperature safe device, and they send them to the mainland to wealthy billionaires who pay a lot of money for these rare flowers. Most orchids are in Japan. Well, Hawaii is the number one for sending orchids, I guess. All right, so hey, flowers in her hair. How are you? Who is this? All right, we're learning all about Hawaii today. So I want to talk about the Hawaiian language. The Hawaiian language, it actually only has 12 letters. Can you guys name the letters in the Hawaiian language? Let me see. All right, I'll give you a help. So, the English language, the English alphabet has 27 letters. The Hawaiian alphabet, it only has 12 letters, 5 vowels, and 7 consonants. It has 12 letters, then it has an akina symbol, which counts as a letter. So these are the only letters in every Hawaiian word is made up of these letters. A, E, I, O, U, H, K, L, M, N, P, W. So if you see any other letter, G, J, P is a Hawaiian word. I've been in Hawaii so long I can only think of Hawaii letters. M is a Hawaiian letter. C is not a Hawaiian letter. Z is not a Hawaiian letter. Q is not a Hawaiian letter. D, as in dog, is not a Hawaiian letter. S, there's no S in the Hawaiian language. There's no T in the Hawaiian language. The Hawaiian language, it's actually, it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder than it looks. I mean, it's a lot easier than it looks. People think it's a lot harder than it is, but it's really not that hard. There's only 12 letters, and you can sound out just about everything, too.
Doug said, wow, very interesting.
Yeah, that has been very interesting. Just a review of the Hawaiian history. Well, I want to make sure we go over everything. So I didn't show you a kukui tree. This is a kukui tree right here. The kukui nut, you see these trees growing everywhere, and they're great to sit on. Touch the nuts because they get this sticky stuff all over your hands, which I know too well. But the kukui nut is actually a native Hawaiian plant, and the kukui flower is the official flower of Molokai as well. So that's the kukui nut, and this is the official Hawaiian tree as well. So each island has their own flower, their own color, their own nickname. But this is the state Hawaiian tree, the kukui tree. And while we're on that, it's also known as the candleman tree, if you're not in Hawaii. The state bird of Hawaii, we didn't mention that. The state bird is the nene. Everybody do the nene. Just kidding. That was a teacher joke. All right, no, but the nene here, it's not endangered, but it's threatened. However, I see these nenes, well, I've seen them a few times. They're very kind of like mythical birds. I mean, there's a lot of birds in Hawaii, beautiful birds. I don't have the body of it. I should show you the body. But hey, Google, what is a nene?
According to Wikipedia, the nene is a hip-hop dance that involves placing one arm in the air and swaying from side to side. The Atlanta hip-hop group We Are Tunes is credited for inventing the phrase with their hit song, Drop That Nine in 2013.
Hey Google,
The dance was...
what is the nene bird?
MRSJ the mermaid.
According to Wikipedia, the nene, also known as nene and Hawaiian goose, is a species of bird endemic to the Hawaiian Islands. The official bird of the state of Hawaii, the nene is exclusively found in the wild on the islands of Oahu, Maui, Kauai, Molokai, and Hawaii. The Hawaiian name nene comes from its soft call.
Oh, okay. So it's found out throughout the do the nene. It's found out throughout Hawaii, and it's also known as the Hawaii goose as well. Okay. Did we have a good question there? I thought I heard somebody with a question. All right. So that's the state bird of Hawaii. Yellow hibiscus is the state flower. I'll go ahead and put that up there. There's just so many of these all around everywhere. I always show them on stream. They're real pretty flowers. Hibiscus comes in many different colors. You can have pink hibiscus, yellow hibiscus, white hibiscus. It actually doesn't have a smell at all. So if you're smelling a hibiscus, you're kind of silly. All right, what else? Well, Hawaii has its special holidays. King Kamehameha Day, Flag Day, and my personal favorite, Kill Howley Day. No, I don't like that day. No, Kill Howley. Howley is known as a Caucasian person in Hawaii, and it's died down in the more recent years. But there used to be a day of the year, unofficially, known as Kill Howley Day.
Hi, Mr.G.
Hello, aloha. And Kill Howley Day would be a day that teachers and authority figures maybe look the other way, while locals of Hawaiian descent and other descent picked on Caucasians.
According to Wikipedia, Kill Howley Day is the term for alleged bullying incidents that occurred in most Hawaii schools, when non-white students would harass and attack white students. The incidents saw their height in the late 1970s.
Okay, so, all right, moving on. There's Kamehameha Day. That happens in June. That's probably the biggest, most important Hawaiian holiday. And, some inventions that came from Hawaii. Surfing was invented in Hawaii. Duke, the legend Duke Kamukamuka, I forget his name actually. He won many gold medals in the Olympics, and he's a legend here in Hawaii, Duke. He worked as a lifeguard in Waikiki, and he's credited for saving hundreds of people, risking his own life to save others. I'm not sure actually how he passed away. But he was an incredible person, and he's a legend here in Hawaii. See if I can find a picture of Duke. And here's one right here. This is Duke in front of his surfboard right here. Let's switch sides. Okay. So that's Duke, the famous Duke Olympian and lifeguard from Hawaii. There's the famous Duke statue. You can find that in Waikiki. Okay. Continuing on, I mentioned William McKinley. William McKinley was the president that annexed Hawaii. I actually taught at McKinley High School before those evil people, called up the school and posted terrible things on their website and, forced me to stop working there. But yeah, they're talking about changing the name of McKinley High School to Hawaii High School, since it's one of the most popular schools here. But the name, McKinley was kind of a jerk. He's responsible for, taking over Hawaii, so it's understandable why they wouldn't want his name. All right, continuing on. Hawaii has the only active palace in the United States, and that's Iolani Palace. If you've seen my live streams, you've probably seen this many times. Me and JR are always hanging around this palace. It's right in the middle of downtown. It's a very old palace. This is where all that happened with Queen Liliuokalani and the overthrow of the Hawaiian government. It all happened right here. The oldest active library is right next to the palace here, and that's the state library. It's the downtown library. It's the oldest active library in the United States, and it used to be the Hawaiian royalty's personal library as well. Across the street from Iolani Palace and the main library, you'll find the main post office. The main post office, as well as the oldest active post office in the United States. And it's like that with many different spots in Hawaii. Hawaii has more culture than any other state. And, and I come from Texas. Texas probably has the second amount of culture of any other state. Hawaii, it has the largest active volcano in the world. It has the largest inactive volcano in the world. Hawaii has the tallest mountain in the world. What, you thought Mount Everest was the tallest? No. Mauna Kea is taller than Mount Everest when measured from the bottom of the seafloor. Mauna Kea is over 33,000 feet from the seafloor. And I believe Mount Everest is 28,000. Hey Google, how tall is Mount Everest?
Mount Everest is about 29,032 feet high.
Mr.G, you are one of the top teachers.
I'm the top teacher streamer. There is no other teacher streamers, and if there are, they're copying me. A really fun fact about Iolani Palace, while I have it on the board, Iolani Palace actually was the first places on Earth, which is on Earth that had electricity. Yes, here in Hawaii, with electricity. I think that's because Thomas Edison visited, and he decided to electricity 4 years before the White House did. One thing I think I should have done, I think I should have reset my router before we started here. I haven't reset my router. I should have did that before the class. I should have reset the router before the class, but still, I mean, I shouldn't have to do that every time, but that's something that I will do every time.
He's streaming YouTube too. Not tidy. Said.
Alright, continuing on. Yeah, if you're saying any insulting comments, like, get a life, kid. I can't even barely hear you. I listen to Mrs. J, and I listen to Countryman, I listen to people I know, but if I don't know your name, I'm not even gonna listen to what you say, really, This is a little hard to do. I don't got time to listen to somebody talking about my viewers. Bro, do you think I know or am concerned about how many viewers I have right now, bro? I'm not looking. This is for posterity reasons. A lot of live streams, you want to watch them while they're live because it's the funny guy is playing the game. These are a little bit different. These live streams you can watch later. You don't necessarily have to watch them live. If you're interested in learning about your state, guess what? This is the 50th state. Go look up your own state. If you're watching this on YouTube, this is going to be part of a playlist. If you live in the United States, look up the class for your state. And maybe you'll learn something, right? So, I don't really care. All right, so he's talking about surfing. What else did Hawaii invent? Hawaii, is the first to legalize medical cannabis. They were the first, something I'm not necessarily proud of.
I think the military has nuclear weapon silos in Hawaii.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they probably do. What else? I didn't even hear you, dude. I'm kind of doing something. So I'm not, what did you say? Why am I so affected by commenters? Obviously I wasn't that affected. It took me that long to try to even hear your comment. Continuing on. Something that you guys may have heard, maybe you're affected, but you also want me to be short and ugly, but that's not going to happen, is it? And you want me to be dumb too, but that's not going to happen, is it? So Lahaina noon is a very interesting scientific phenomenon. Moving on. Lahaina noon is a scientific phenomenon where Lahaina, like we mentioned, is the old whaling town in Maui, where Britain, did a lot of traveling recently. or the last couple of years. But Lahaina noon was a name coined by a scientist at the Bishop Museum, and that's a phenomenon where the sun is directly above Hawaii and things don't cast a shadow. And there's a scientific explanation for that. Spots on Earth. Earth is the planet we live on. Very few spots on Earth, including Lahaina, where twice a year there'll be an hour of the day. It's called Lahaina noon, where the sun doesn't cast a shadow. Let's go ahead and ask Google, because the haters in the chat don't know. Hey Google, what is Lahaina noon?
The term
Noon, like I said, it was coined by the Bishop Museum. The Bishop Museum is right by the oldest active Catholic church in the United States. Yes, that's what is it located. Hey Google, what's the oldest Catholic church in Hawaii?
According to Wikipedia, the Cathedral Basilica of Our Lady of Peace, also known by its original French name Cathédrale de Notre-Dame de la Paix, its Portuguese variant Catedral de Nossa Senhora da Paz, and its Hawaiian.
So that's the oldest church. It's dates from the early 1800s, and also Maui has the oldest high school west of the Rocky Mountains, which also is the 1800s. A lot of times in Hawaii, they'll keep the same buildings. They don't necessarily upgrade buildings and stuff. They'll just rather restore. There's a lot of old-fashionedness here. And people hang on to history a lot, and I really do like that, and it's something I appreciate. Why I live and love Hawaii. All right, so there are some things that I don't like as far as education in Hawaii. There's not many education, and education is frowned upon. And from somebody who taught in the public school system for 2 years, and I taught private schools for 4 years. In public school, more so, it was so disappointing to see people frown upon reading and writing and learning and education in general. You won't see people reading books on a bus or or anywhere on Hawaii, unless it's me. It's very rare to see somebody reading in Hawaii. Hawaii is one of the lowest educational systems in the United States. The University of Hawaii is one of the only viable higher education opportunities, and it's one of the lowest ranked state schools in the United States as well. They do have but I don't know why. There's enough people here that it's part of the culture. And like I said, when I taught public school, I taught some of the hardest kids that I'd ever taught before. Some of them would try to fight me, and jokingly, but serious sometimes, I guess. But it was really sad at how they looked at education and how it wasn't something that they were interested in. And it goes with the hiring as well. Like I said before, a good percentage of the teachers in Hawaii, the teachers have never attended college. No college for the teachers, not even an associate's degree. And many of the students graduate from high school barely being able to read. And that's just something that's accepted in Hawaii. So it's not. There are some bad things. I talked about Kilhali Day that I could do without that. I wish there was more educational opportunities for everybody here. I wish knowledge and learning wasn't frowned upon so much. They do have a University of Hawaii system, which has the main campus in Manoa, University of Hawaii, and they also have campuses on Maui and Big Island. But you wouldn't believe how sparsely populated and how few of selections you have for majors. And overall, the University of Hawaii in Manoa, it's the largest school in the state. It has 18,000 people. And that's a lot, considering the numbers of University of Hawaii Hilo, it's about 2,000 people. For the whole Big Island, 2,000 college students. University of Hawaii Maui, 4,000. The Big Island is the poorest part of the Hawaiian Islands. If you want cheap land, you can get it on the Big Island. Some of the cheapest land in the United States is located in Hawaii on the Big Island. It's right near, the world's largest active volcano, but it's cheap land. There's a 50-50 chance the lava may destroy everything, but, lava moves slow and you can run fast, right? I'll go ahead and show you a graph. Me and Britton, we were very close to buying some farmland on the Big Island here. Here is a graph. Now, from the top of the Big Island, this is the most active volcano on Earth, right? And the only safe spot on the Big Island, it's going to blow, and scientists think it's going to blow pretty quick too. The only actual safe spot is on the northern side, and the further south you go, the more dangerous it gets, really. As you can see with the color coding on the chart there, it's a dangerous spot. And that's just the natural disasters. The Big Island actually is more prone to tsunamis and as well as hurricanes. Hurricane season in Hawaii starts next preparedness month. So you're supposed to get stocked up, have at least 30 days worth of food. But really that's for the Big Island, because to put it in perspective, the way the Hawaiian island chain is set up, the Big Island actually protects all the other islands. So I put a picture on the board here, and as you can see, the Big Island, it's the southernmost part of the island. That's actually the southernmost part of the United States, is south of the Big Island. And the Big Island, it's the youngest of just about anywhere on Earth you can find. It's one of the youngest spots on Earth. The Big Island is only 800,000 years old, class. That's nothing, right, in the scheme of things. And it's actually getting bigger. The Big Island is getting bigger, with the term called lava deltaing. Lava deltaing is a geological term where the lava, melts into the ocean, it hardens, and it creates land. It creates a delta. It's a lava delta. And so the Big Island is also, as we speak, it's growing in size. I think it gets bigger by 30 inches every year, something like that. But yeah, it's a really interesting phenomenon. Tourists from all around the world, they come out here to see the lava, and it's a really interesting sight. I'll show some pictures of it, once we get into the slideshow here. So, any questions so far? I mean, this is a longer lecture. We're already at 1 hour and 20 minutes. We haven't even started the foods yet, or really any of the slideshows. But I mean, I've lived here for like a long time, and I really love this island. So this will be the most in-depth class that you'll get, other than states I've lived in, like Texas, is California. But this is the last state too. We're gonna throw a party, right? Can you believe I've done 50 classes? I've done every freaking state for free. Not for free. I mean, I get something out of it. Nothing is free. But yeah, this is the 50th state. Can you believe that? Here, you guys want to pat me on the back? Come on. This is Jay. Give me a pat. Come on. Come on. Okay. You don't have to pat me on the back. All right. Something that I failed to mention, the 30-meter telescope. That's supposed to be the largest telescope on Earth. They want to build it on the Big Island, but there's been a lot of protests. I think they're still like sneaking telescope stuff in there. But they want to put it on Mauna Kea. And Mauna Kea, this is a picture of it right here. Mauna Kea, snow on it, for a good portion of the year. They have winter weather warnings on the peaks of Mauna Kea. These right here, as you can see, are the current observatories there. The telescope that they want to build is the world's largest, and Polynesians are known to be the explorers of the world. And so, if you haven't guessed, I'm totally for the telescope. I think it would be a great addition to the islands here. And like I said, Polynesians are known to be the explorers. What better place to put this telescope than in the heart, in Hawaii, where we can explore lands that we've never seen before, like is in Polynesian tradition, right? But there's a lot of controversy about it, and a lot of locals aren't for the 30-meter telescope, and they're not for it. We'll get some more information on it. Hey Google, what is the 30-meter telescope?
Here's a summary from the website aram-institute.org. The telescope is a classic single-dish parabolic antenna, which allows the exploration of extended cosmic objects such as nearby galaxies and interstellar clouds. What is the purpose of the 30-meter telescope? Do you want to hear the answer?
Yes.
On the website tmt.org, they say, the 30-meter telescope is a new class of extremely large telescopes that will allow us to see deeper into space and observe cosmic objects with unprecedented sensitivity.
Oh, okay. All right, so I want to make sure to mention the Aloha shirts. I used to wear these all the time. I haven't been wearing them. It has a really interesting history, the Aloha shirt. Like you can get all kinds of Aloha shirts. You can stop at the ABC store and get a cheap Aloha shirt. You can go to Macy's or Saks Fifth Avenue and get a really nice Aloha shirt. This is just a simple one that JR likes to wear. But the actual story of the Aloha shirt is something very cool to remember in the history of Hawaii. So, and these are popular to wear on Fridays, right? Because they're like kind of business attire. They're dressed nice business attire, and you wear them on Fridays. Every Friday in Hawaii is Aloha Friday. But the story of the Aloha shirt, when the missionaries first came to Hawaii in the late 1700s, early 1800s, they were very, the Christian missionaries, they were, abhorred of the bare chest of the Hawaiian men. And so what they did, they gave them all kind of plain, And so what they did is they went and got flowers and colors, and they decorated their, dress shirts that were given to them by the Christian missionaries. And it became a Hawaiian tradition for generations. They were raised in this most beautiful environment with the most bluest skies and the most beautiful floral and the most beautiful tropical birds. And so something like a business attire, suit and tie, you could see how like that, that's not for Hawaii. That's not Hawaii style, right? So I was starting to speaking Pidgin there. But yeah, Pidgin, we haven't talked about Pidgin. There's so much to talk about. Pidgin is a mix of all different languages because Hawaii is a melting pot. There's no dominant race or anything here. And it's been like that for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. People have been coming here from Polynesia, from Japan, from China, from all different cultures, all different lifestyles, and it's the only state in the United States that has 2 official languages. Even though it is a lot of different people, everybody seems to be very respectful of Hawaiians. The decimation of the Hawaiian people is something that should not be overlooked, that I should have mentioned earlier in the lecture. When Christian missionaries, Captain Cook, first came to the island in 1786, there was over 400,000 Hawaiians. In the matter of 100 years, approximately from 1800 to 1900s, that number shrunk to 40,000. So, I mean, it's insane and it wasn't, the missionaries coming here and just killing Hawaiians or stuff. It was smallpox. It was, diseases that the Hawaiian people, being so isolated, had no defense over. So in the matter of 100 years, the population went from 400,000 true blood Hawaiians to about 40,000. Now, you look at some people say there's very few, maybe a couple hundred pure Hawaiians with 100% Hawaiian blood. Many do not have Hawaiian blood at all. That's why Kamehameha schools, they're starting to open their doors to Caucasians and other people because there's just not that many Hawaiian people. So even though we're a melting pot, there's 2 official languages here, English and Hawaiian. And everybody seems to play special regard to Hawaiian words and Hawaiian culture. Not everybody may get along with everyone else. I have my issues with my neighbors too, but everybody, like pau is a Hawaiian word, right? So like when I'm doing my laundry on my lanai, which is a porch, a lanai is a porch. So I'm on my lanai and I'm doing my laundry, then I finish my laundry, and then to the neighbors, I yell, pau, and that means like finished work, done, and that's like a Hawaiian term. So even though I'm not Hawaiian or Filipino or whatever, and all races, you'll use Hawaiian words here and there. And Pidgin is a mix between all words. Like I said, Hawaiian has more culture than any other state. It's not even close. So, I mean, I do a whole class. All right, what else? The largest army base on Earth is located in Hawaii. Excuse me. It's not the largest army base on Earth either. It's the largest active army base in the United States, and that's Skull Barracks. I'll show you a picture of it real quick. And, we're finishing up here. I just have, a few more you, and then we'll get into the Hawaiian foods. This is Schofield Barracks, and that is the largest active military base. There's more military in Hawaii than anywhere else in the world, and you see planes and jets and fighter planes and big cargo, and it just in the supersonic sounds that just becomes normal. I lived in South Texas, and there was a lot of Air Force base. I grew up in South Texas, and there was a lot of Air Force bases and Army bases and military bases, but you didn't see the jets. And like the first time you see that in Hawaii, you're like, whoa, am I in a movie? I just saw one of those stealth black bomber things, Like you see one of those in the sky, it's like, whoa, That's not very stealth. I can see it. One reason is because the skies are so clear, but another reason is because there's so much military here as well. All right, so we spoke of, that's Molokai, that's Schofield Barracks. I talked about Diamond Head Crater, but I didn't show you the top of it. This is Diamond Head Crater, and funny story while I remember here. The name actually comes from the first colonizers, James Cook, the English missionaries. When they first explored Diamond Head, they found a bunch of calcium buildup. There was a bunch of calcium deposits everywhere, and they actually thought that the calcium was diamonds, and they were running around calcium. They're like, we're rich, we've got diamonds, diamonds, diamonds for everybody. That's where they got the name Diamond Head. All right, so we went over animals. One of the most common animals you'll find in Hawaii that you won't find anywhere else is a mongoose. My little Keanu got in a fight with a mongoose once and almost lost his life. There's also lots of cats in Hawaii. There's more, sugarcane, I didn't mention sugarcane. Sugarcane and coffee Hawaii is the only place that has commercial sugarcane and commercial coffee. Sugarcane, they just call it cane. Cane was really popular in Maui and the Big Island, but a lot of those places are shutting down, and they're exporting and doing it elsewhere. There are still farms that grow cane, and I've grown it a lot, and it's really good, the actual cane to suck on the stick. Or the farm that I worked on here, I've worked on 2 farms in Hawaii, and there was sugar cane, and I would stir it with my coffee, and you could cut it off the bark and everything. And it's one of the only places in the United States where it grows. Coffee and sugar cane are only grown commercially in the United States. So what else? We mentioned poke. I guess, everybody knows about poke, right? I mean, that's become so popular. We mentioned lahaina noon. What's some more animals? Dolphins, whales, the great whales, the great blue whales come here every year to Maui. They used to come there to die when whaling was a big industry, and they used to, but now that they don't kill whales, God, But turtles, I have seen turtles. The very first time I went swimming in Hawaii was in Waianae Beach. The very first time I went to the beach, and like, I'm not a good swimmer. They're like, oh, it's okay, just, you know. I'm like, I got my contacts on, and they're like, oh no, don't worry, G. You have your contacts on, but it's salt water, so when you're underwater, you can open your eyes, and the water won't mess with your eyes because it's saline solution. I was like, oh, okay. And then so in the water, I'm not an experienced swimmer or anything, but I wanted to, you know, experience Hawaii. So I jump in the water, and I start swimming, and
They used to sell them as diamonds because quartz is very hard, and people actually bought into it, and it actually became a thing for a bit before, of course, the professionals ended it all.
oh, interesting. So maybe they weren't so silly. Maybe I thought I would think that they're diamonds too. But back to the story. So I was on the Waianae side the very first time going to the beach, and they're like, yeah, you can open your eyes in the water because you have your contacts on, and it's salt water. And then so I go in the water. They're like, I'm like, I'll open it for a second. And then I swim under a little bit. I can swim underwater a little bit. And then I'm swimming with my eyes closed. I don't want to mess up my contacts. They're my only contacts, right? And so I'm swimming with my eyes closed. And then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to open my eyes once for a second, and then I'm going to close them again. And then so I'm swimming, and I open my eyes, and then there's this huge sea turtle right under me, looking up at me, swimming with me. It was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. A huge turtle, bigger than me, swimming right under me. I'm like, oh my God. And he's looking up, he's like, what the heck are you doing? You know, like the odds of that just happening the very first time I jump in the water, the very first time I open my eyes, I knew I was home in Hawaii. That sold me. At that second, I knew I was never going to leave this place. And I'm swimming with to see a turtle right there. And for it to happen the very first time I ever went swimming in Hawaii, it was a really great feeling. And I knew that I would never leave Hawaii again. I knew that Hawaii would always be my home. All right. One thing about Hawaii is all beaches are public in Hawaii. When we talked about Washington last week, I talked about Lake Washington and how I couldn't even find an inch of water there because it's all beachfront mansions covering all the water side. Not in Hawaii. It doesn't matter if you're a millionaire, a billionaire, of Hawaii. Just waiting to see if we go. It's frozen on my end, so it's kind of like I just like wait a second. But yeah, we'll use this time. I plan on having 2 more classes this week. This is not easy. All right, so I appreciate any love that you guys give, and whether that be with a thumbs up on YouTube, a subscribing on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram, Gander at my website right there. Look at my book on Amazon. Something positive. Don't just look at me and like see me as a threat. That's what all those toxic streamers did. Did it work? No, because I'm going to get back up over and over and over again. So don't waste your time on hating. It makes you look bad, all right? I put in this time for you because I enjoy doing this and I enjoy teaching, all right? So share the love, post it on Twitter, post it on Facebook, something, and tell a friend about it, okay? So with that being said, we're going to go and jump into the picture portion of the show. This right here is a famous art piece of Hawaii. And I guess we'll go straight into the foods. Let me see. I'll show you a picture of Pearl Harbor. I know Mrs. J, she's really wanted to see Pearl Harbor. That's actually where you walk out where the ship sunk. They put the memorial right over it right there. We spoke about the Hawaiian monk seal. So Hawaiian monk seal, it's a good little picture. And then we'll go ahead and get into the food. Thank you very much, Mrs. J. All right, so now for the food part of the lecture, everybody's favorite part, we start off with Kona coffee. Now, so Kona coffee is supposed to be the second-ranked coffee in the world, believe it or not. A bag of Kona coffee, 100% Kona coffee, it'll take you back about $100 at least.
Want some Kona coffee?
So,
I saw a place there in Honolulu called Lion Coffee.
Oh yeah, JR and me used to work for Lion Coffee. JR and me used to work there. And NCAT used to work for Lion Coffee too. But according to foodnetwork.com, Kona coffee is one of Hawaii's prized exports and practically mandatory for visitors to Kona. Kona is on the Big Island. It's on the opposite side of Hilo. It's Hilo's the rainy side, the leeward side, and Kona's the windward side on the Big Island. But right on the water is Ali'i Drive with a huge covered lanai so every customer can get an ocean view while sipping a cup of joe. Kona coffee tastes very clean, rich, and complex, and each farm has its own distinct flavor. Much like a wine-producing vineyard. Those with extra interest should take Sean Steeman's classes in tasting in space, where visitors get hands-on experience in cupping, roasting, and brewing the best coffee in the world. All right, up next we have shave ice. So we go from coffee to shave ice. Shave ice, or shave ice as locals call it, is so much more than a snow cone. In Hawaii, the most popular shave ice stands sell fluffy mountains of ice, shaved to a nearly fluffy consistency with very sharp blades. Ululani's arguably has the fluffiest and finest on Maui, if not the state, taking it up a notch by offering a wide variety of popular and exotic flavors like lychee, tiger's blood, wedding cake, pickled mango, and wet lemon peel. Its shave ice is so popular that Ululani now has 6 locations around Maui, but the main one is in Lahaina on Front Street, right by the ocean. So if you guys ever visit Maui, you most likely will visit Lahaina, and you most likely will see the snow cone, shave ice place.
Countryman said, "Babe Dice is the best. Placing out of Brandt, North Carolina, there was a house where the owner literally lives it, and he converted the bottom floor into the stand. He shakes the ice by hand, no machine lol.
Nice.
His own flavors. It's amazing."
All right, up next we have the hula pie. Now this is something that you get at the nice restaurants in Waikiki. Duke's restaurant in Waikiki also has a really good buffet. It's not like anyone needs an excuse to go to the iconic Duke's Waikiki, which overlooks the famous beach, but its hula pie has become a favorite with locals and visitors. It's made with macadamia nut ice cream piled high on a chocolate cookie crust and topped with chocolate fudge, whipped cream, and chopped macadamia nuts. Hawaii leads the world in macadamia nuts, if I hadn't mentioned that as well. All right, up next in the North Shore, you got to stop and get the garlic shrimp. Now, personally, I love seafood and I love shrimp, but I cannot deal with peeling the skins. I just can't do it. People will argue about their favorite garlic shrimp spot on Oahu's North Shore, but Rami's is unique since its kitchen and dining areas sit right next to its shrimp pods. It's also the most popular place for this on the North Shore as well. Every plate is cooked to order, and there's a long and constant line, so it can take about an hour for diners to get their food. The wait's worth it, though, as the shrimps and prawns are super fresh and the butter garlic sauce is a pungent revelation. Whether you order them regular or spicy, try to sit near one of the sinks so you can easily wash your hands after peeling and eating all the messy garlicky goodness. So these are good. but I do not like the peeling, you know? I don't like getting my hands dirty when I eat. All right, up next, this is something you can eat with a fork. I hope. Oh, did I not get the Loco Moco? Okay, I didn't get the Loco Moco. All right, we're gonna skip the Loco Moco. I'll have to show you that in person. All right, up next we have strawberry mochi. So, according to foodnetwork.com, mochi can be bought frozen or ordered at the end of a Japanese meal. But Two Ladies Kitchen offers fresh, homemade mochi as the star of the show. The place is famous for its large strawberry wrapped in sweet black bean paste and enrobed in mochi, which is a sweet, filling, and very special treat. Order ahead. This is a small operation where the chefs can make things by hand or instant. Okay, so mochi is very common in the United States and in Hawaii.
I don't know about that.
Well, mochi is very common, and that black bean is very common. Hawaii is my home, so I took a lot of extra effort in today's class. I really wish I would have restarted the internet, but it is what it is. We will be doing another Hawaii class. It won't be for another 50 classes or more, because we're going to go through every state again. Plus, we're going to do some of the territories like Puerto Rico and the Maldives and American Samoa as well. So we're not going to cover Hawaii again for another few months.
Super chat on YouTube.
Yes, thank you so much. Super chat. Aloha. Thank you, Willy Nilly. Aloha, Willy Nilly. I'll replay that donation as soon as I get a chance there. Thank you, everybody. We're going to continue with the food. If you're watching this on YouTube, not live, or if you're watching this on YouTube, give it a thumbs up. And we're going to continue with a few more food spots. And then we'll end today's class with the Hawaiian state song paired up with some of the most beautiful Hawaiian images. So we just got a few more minutes left in class. I know you guys all want to get on the play and get on the swings or whatever you kids do. But I'm just kidding. This is an adult class. Next we have poke. Poke is one of the most common foods in Hawaii. And according to Food Network, the Poke Shack, which is not far from here, is appropriately named since it does sell some great poke and it's in a shack. Freshness is what sets this place apart from others. It's right near where they get the fish. Sometimes fishermen will walk up with a day's catch, impressing everyone in the line. The wet Hawaiian is the most popular poke with a simple kukui nut mix. Diners who prefer more heat should try the spicy garlic sesame or Pele's Kiss. If you can't make it to the shack, track down the newly opened food truck in Honolulu. So you can get poke at a restaurant like this, or you can get poke at the grocery store. You can get poke yeah, you can get poke everywhere. There's a big sushi place in here. I'm not going to say the name, but they actually had a really bad problem 5 years ago. A shipment of bad fish came in, and like a dozen people died. A dozen local people. They went and ate at the sushi restaurant to eat. You could die. All right, that's poke. Up next. Thank you so much for that donation too. I appreciate that. Up next we have, I think they're short ribs are they called, but the Hawaiian word I ate there before too. This gets extra crowded right before summer ends when all the Hawaiian kids want their last taste of Hawaii before leaving for school on the mainland, and again at the end of the semester. A lot of young people they go to school on the mainland in Hawaii, and because schools are way better. So yeah, this is a pipakua or salted dried beef. It's more like kalibi, you know. It's tender, it's tasting, and it's addictive. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm not that big of a fan. I just don't like the bones. I don't think you get that much with it. So, I mean, I've had it before, but it's not like the best. Hey, thanks, Chipmunk. Thank you, Chipmunk. And don't forget to follow the Classroom stream as well. This is the Classroom Instagram that I just put on the screen here. And if you want to follow my personal Instagram, it's right there, Mr.G Livestream. If you're new to the channel here and you don't know too much about me, your teacher, you're like, who is this weirdo? Well, you can join my Discord or you can find out more about me on this website here. This is my website, gxnetwork.live, and it has a bio about me, a lot of my experience, and different teaching and educational jobs I've had. All right, so back to the food. We're going to go. Cocoa Puffs is something from Liliha Bakery. Liliha Bakery, that's like my go-to place if I ever want to take somebody out to eat here, or just a nice little place to take a date, or your mother for Mother's Day, something like that. And you know, it's a nice little place. And one of their key treats is the Cocoa Puff. Now, Liliha Bakery, which serves the Cocoa Puffs, has been an iconic Honolulu venue since 1950, but it's now best known for its famous Cocoa Puffs. Chocolate cream puffs slathered in Liliha's famous chantilly frosting. They provide a unique balance of sweet and salty as the chocolate explodes in your mouth. The Cocoa Puffs are so popular, the bakery sells between 4,000 and per day, every day. They're sold 24 hours a day, Tuesday through Sunday, at the original location on Liliha Street. All right, so yeah, that's Liliha Bakery. Those Cocoa Puffs are the bomb. Now, network. Portuguese donuts have everything you want in a cheat day dessert. Balls of sweet dough are deep fried into light, airy donuts. They're rolled into sugar, and sometimes you can get them filled with custard or chocolate. However you eat them, the malasadas are beautiful, crisp outside, and fluffy and chewy on the inside. They're always made to order, and they're always served piping hot. So that's the a few more food items. Mahi mahi. It's a very popular fish. It was on another list, I think, for the California. But mahi mahi. It's so good you have to say the name twice. Roy Yamaguchi is one of 12 founders of Hawaii Regional Cuisine, a movement that encourages the use of local ingredients in mainstream restaurants and hotels. His restaurants serve eclectic fusion cuisine that showcases traditional Hawaiian flavors in a contemporary style. Mahi mahi is a prime example. Every Roy's restaurant has its own style. At Roy's Beach House in Turtle Bay, it comes with waiolu asparagus and lobster pernod essence. So this place, Roy's, that they're talking about, where this picture comes from, it's known as one of the most fanciest restaurants in Hawaii, Roy's. And I've never actually ate there, but they have a few different locations. I think it's something like hundreds of dollars a plate. But it's something that's really good. Mahi mahi is a common fish. You can get mahi mahi anywhere, though, in Hawaii. It's really common in Hawaii. All right, up next we have saimin. Saimin is actually something that you can get at McDonald's. It's like ramen, except the noodles are thicker and chewier. But saimin is... yeah, you can actually get this at McDonald's. You've probably heard of rice noodle is saimin. The dish is originally Chinese, but the Hawaii version is a mashup that reflects the origins of the plantation workers who created it. Chinese noodles with Japanese broth topped with Filipino green onions. It's good, believe me. Portuguese sausage and Korean kimchi. So you got everything in there. You got Chinese noodles, Japanese broth, Filipino green onions, Portuguese sausage, and Korean kimchi. It's delicious, believe me. Actually, I thought this was available everywhere. I've lived in Hawaii for a long time. I mean, I forget. Some things, are only available here. Like manapua. Manapua, I like it okay. It's kind of polarizing. You like it or you hate it. Manapua, it's bread with meat in it. You can get it at 7-Eleven. You can get it at any corner store. Honolulu's Chinatown's probably the best place to get it. There's a place called Sing Chong Yon. It's a bakery and sweet shop that's really popular. I actually ate a bird egg on accident there on a live stream. Cody remembers that, and Mrs. J might remember that. But yeah, they have some of the best, pastries, and their bread is slightly sweet, and the barbecue meat filling is the one that I really like. It's what you can get if you're in a hurry and you want something in your belly. You could get a manapua for like $2. It's similar to a musubi as well. Musubi, it's a little more expensive. Musubi is about the same price, but this musubi here that I'm going to show you, this is like a gourmet musubi. So musubi has its main components, spam, rice, and seaweed, and furikake sauce. This musubi, this is like a gourmet musubi. This particular musubi is from, let's see, where did I get this picture? It's this is the kitchen. This is a gourmet musubi at the kitchen. Eaters love spam so much they consume more per capita than anywhere else in the U.S. In fact, the state goes through about 5 million pounds of spam per year. The most popular way to eat it is spam musubi, which is a slice of the canned meat placed in a rectangular block of rice and wrapped in nori, Japanese seaweed. The kitchen takes it a step further by breading it and deep frying it, then drizzling it with kabayaki sauce. It's salty and sweet with carbs and protein, a perfect snack for people on the go. You can also get it at 7-Eleven. Like I said, it's really, I used to think that they eat these all the time, and so when I first came here to Hawaii, I was like, I got one, and I'm like eating one the first day, and then I'm hanging out with some Hawaiian people, then I get some the next day, and the next day, and I start eating them like every day. And before you know it, one of the local Hawaiians put me aside and like, hey, G, we don't eat musubis every day. We don't eat them for every meal, He's like, lay off the musubis, man. I was just like, these are great, musubi. Have you had your musubi today? Hey, what kind of musubi did you get today? And I went overboard on the musubi when I first got here. Now it's just like, ugh. I'll eat it if I'm in a hurry. I'd rather grab a manapua, those. We're talking about it, But yeah, moving on, a few more things. Oxtail soup is a really popular, expensive plate in Hawaii. It runs, very expensive. But it's available at just about every restaurant. In lieu of healing chicken soup, Ashi's Grill oxtail soup is what many Hawaiians turn to for comfort, especially when they're feeling under the weather. The restaurant was started by a Chinese man and later taken over by an Okinawan. Okinawans here. Okinawan is a island off of Japan. Both serve the hearty soup. Like Hawaii's melting pot of people, the soup reflects a blending of ethnic flavors. The oxtail is boiled for 2 to 3 hours in clear broth full of Chinese herbs, which makes it fall off the bone tender. Dip the meat in the accompanying shoyu and ginger to give it a layer of flavor. Shoyu is soy sauce. That's how we say it in Hawaiian. All right, one of my favorite go-to meals. I might get one. For about $10 or $15, you can't beat that price. And one time President Barack Obama proclaimed, "I'm going to get a plate lunch," moments after arriving in Honolulu on his first vacation after taking office. The plate lunch, a carb fest composed of protein, 2 scoops of rice, and a scoop of macaroni salad, is a staple of Hawaii food life. One of President the Army. It's located just outside Waikiki, making it popular with surfers and locals looking for a quick and hearty, affordable meal. The shoyu chicken plate, which is pictured here, often sells out early in the day. Shoyu chicken. Shoyu chicken is delicious. So yeah, I tend to eat these a lot. There's, like I said, it's a carb fest. But you know, if you're hungry and you don't want to spend very much money, you know, for $10, $10 to $15, you can get a delicious plate lunch, and that's like my go-to. You know, if you don't want a greasy fast food or anything like that, and you know, it's you got to be picky. You know, when I grew up in South Texas, I would go to a Mexican restaurant. I would sit down. I would have, you know, or I'd go to a Chinese restaurant, sit down, have a nice meal. You can't necessarily do that in Hawaii. Hawaii's restaurants really cater to tourists, and prices go really high. You know, for people on vacation. So if you're a local person and you live here and you're not very wealthy, then you're not really going to go out to eat many places very often unless it's McDonald's, Taco Bell, or a plate lunch, to be honest. Just a couple more food items here. This I want to mention. This is a store. It looks like lemon meringue pie, but it has a distinct flavor that can't easily be imitated. Lilikoi has an intense tanginess. It's one of my favorite fruits, actually. Lilikoi vines grow everywhere, and I could eat them all day. They're very tangy. I like sour things, and lilikoi and lilikoi pie are one of my most favorite go-to things. So, yeah, it looks like lemon meringue pie. Lilikois are little tiny light fruit, yellow light fruit that are like a little sour, a little tangy. They're not for everybody. A lot of people don't like lilikoi pie either because it is like kind of sour and kind of tangy, but it is really good. Lychee is also one of my favorite fruits here. Star fruit, dragon fruit. The list goes on and on. The amount of fruit, tropical fruit in Hawaii. But yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed the class today. This was my longest class, you know, understandably so. There's a lot to talk about here. We didn't even cover all of it. But yeah, this does take a lot out of me. It is very time consuming to put up these lectures. It does really hurt when, you know, people, you know, shit on me, you know, after, you know, putting my heart into something like this and working hard. But those people are just toxic and they're never going to go anywhere in life. And if you know me long enough, I do go places in life. People try to push me down, and I just come right back up, right? I've succeeded over and over in my life, and what I am now, I've worked damn hard to be. I wasn't always such a great teacher. You think I could have done this class as well as I did in when I was 21? Probably not. Probably not. Not at all. I couldn't have done this class when I was 21, 22, or 23. I've worked my ass off to put myself in this position. I've spent years in school. I've spent years reading books. I've spent years working on myself. There's a lot of people, a lot of live streamers out there, they just want the quick buck. They don't want to work on themselves. They're 20-nothing years old. They never attended a class. They never even had a real job. And they just want free money. They just think they're special. They got a fucking halo over their head, right? Not with me. I've put myself in this position to succeed. I've worked my ass off to be the person I am. I've worked my ass off so I could teach you this class. Because if I didn't work my ass off, if I didn't spend all that time in school, if I didn't develop the work ethic that I have, then I wouldn't have been able to do that. I wouldn't have put in the time. I wouldn't have put in the effort. I wouldn't put in the energy. I would have been like one of those asshole streamers like, what's in it for me? How many donations you get? How many viewers you got? No. Just like the Hawaiian motto states, Aua mau ke ai o kaina I ka pono. The land of the righteousness is righteous, or something like that. Okay, so don't you forget that. Much obliged. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful class. Special thanks to Mrs. J and Countryman. You two are very great, and I love you two for everything that you guys did. We did all 50 states. We did it. We did every single state. They said it couldn't be done. No, nobody said that actually. But it's not an easy task, and it did take a few months to complete. And I didn't do it half-assed either. And try to find one other streamer that can do that can do a class on every 50 states. None of them can. You can't find a teacher to do that. You got to pay a teacher $50 an hour to do that. And I'm doing it for the love of teaching it. I'm doing it for the love of learning. I'm doing it because this is what we do in life. We succeed. We accomplish things. And these videos, they're not going anywhere. They're staying on YouTube. You don't have to watch them live. You may not be watching this live. If you're not watching it live, have you ever been to Hawaii? Do you want to know something else about Hawaii? Leave it in the comments. All right, guys. Everybody, it's been a great show. Great class. And I'm going to end it with the Hawaiian State song. Once again, everybody have a wonderful night. I started off the class not feeling so great, but now I'm not feeling like great, but I'm feeling very strong, and I'm feeling much better than I did. I'm very accomplished. So thank you all very much. We're going to end it with the state song of Hawaii, and I'm going to show some of the pretty pictures of Hawaii as well. Everybody have a good day. I'll see you on Wednesday when we learn all about Puerto Rico. All right, so make sure same time, same place. We will learn all about the great state of Puerto Rico. All right, here's the Hawaii state song, guys.
How much is buildable land to buy any idea? MCAT Brandt, Idaho.
Hey,
Tangible
MCAT.
investments, Euro network high. Tangible investments, no joggers except Tapagon high. Tangible investments, underrated can talk right here. Lexus the Turkish in English. Lexus, oh like slang. Lexus, isn't it bad predated like Mr.G? Meanwhile, you won't tell him whether Chaka, call me and medium syndrome.
I appreciate you, and remember, from